Out of necessity, your boy finds himself paying homage again. It's Dame. Subscribe to Dame's World. We're in the world of basketball again. So we talking the eye test, and we talking about a player who was in the hearts of many in the 2000s. Struck by injury after injury, had to call it a career early. But if he hadn't, I believe in the minds of many would have been one of the best guards in NBA history. We're talking about Brandon Roy, and I'm here to pay my respect, because you're not going to hear him give a Hall of Fame speech. You're not going to hear ESPN talk about him. But this here is a player in his time who was impactful, who guarded the Kobe Bryants, who gave the Kobe Bryants buckets, who gave the Dwayne Wade's problems, who was an elite shooting guard, top tier caliber player in his time. Today I'm going to compare him to the up and comer. You see Phoenix right there, the irony. I'll go to Brandon Roy's best game against Phoenix. But I'm talking about a Phoenix guard, up and coming, sniper. Devin Booker, Mr. 70. D-Books versus Brandon Roy. How they're similar, how they're different. The past versus the present. While I'm paying homage to somebody who I think was a potential Hall of Famer. We'll start the video. So, we'll start off with attacking the basket as we see it right now. Lovely mid-range, but the ability to get to the rim. As you could see with the eye test, Brandon Roy was more athletic than Devin Booker. Faster, got up there, and more of an attacker and finisher at the rim. So attacking the rim was an easy one for me. I easily had Brandon Roy. That was his game. His mainstay was isolation, get to the rack, get a mid-range, or get all the way to the cup. Wasn't so much just a sole perimeter shooter as is Booker. So attack the rim and finish the rim, be Roy. Shooting, three-point shooting particularly. D-Books, man, that's what he does. He's a cold, hard, killing sniper. Three-point contest type off the pick, whether it's pick and roll or whether it's running off the screens. That's the land of D-Books. He has that over Brandon Roy. He can run off the pick, catch and shoot easy. His game predominantly is pick and roll, to where he forces a big on you or somebody's lagging and he can get his jumper off, but he's not so much the inside player. Whereas Brandon Roy toes the line from three, doesn't really shoot it as much. And if he does, he's not inaccurate, but it's just not his game. So D-Books with the three-point shooting. Transition, Brandon Roy by a slight. None of them are heavy transition artists, but Brandon Roy will get out there and use it as a means more than Devin Books. Devin Books not so much the athletic type. Very slow, very methodical with his movements, not too much of the sheer athlete that you see in today's game particularly. So transition, Roy. Mid-range. Now, Devin Booker is the better shooter in my opinion, but mid-range is where a lot of these stars and superstars make their staple, like a T-Mac, Kevin Durant, or D. Wade, or Kobe. The main top-tier elitists have the mid-range on lock, and that's something Brandon Roy had as well. His mid-range was miraculous, almost automatic. And we transition, we talked about the pick and roll, we talked about that facet of the game. We have to talk about the one-on-one. Brandon Roy is a one-on-one player. My preference in basketball players is one-on-one. Can you get your own bucket when it winds down? And Brandon Roy was that. Portland used a lot of isolation ball. Brandon Roy just to go to in the clutch when nothing else worked. Devin Booker, on the other hand, not so much the isolation. You'll see a pick call for him to free him up, get him some space, like I said earlier. So ISO's not so much his game. Now, defense. Again, Devin Booker comes from this new generation where defense isn't a prerequisite to be on a team. Where earlier, defense and offense, you had to play both sides of the ball to be considered an elite star. And Brandon Roy, in my opinion, was that because he did play both sides. So defense, I had Brandon Roy by a clear edge. Clutch. I seen Devin Booker light it up in clutch moments, even though Phoenix ain't had much, but Brandon Roy was Mr. Clutch at one point. I promise y'all probably think I'm tripping when I give the Kobe, the Wade, the T-Mac comparisons, but for 2-3 years, this dude was a problem to those people. And it was because his isolation game and his clutch one-on-one, he couldn't be guarded. Which transitions to ball handling, which is one of the reasons why he's not extremely a post player, rarely uses it. Both players don't use the post as much. But Brandon Roy, his ball handling, show him the bounce. His ball handling was immaculate. He had a signature left to right cross that will woo you. He dribbled very low, as you can see right here. That's just a simple step back. Get it in your grill. But his ball handling was great, particularly for a two guard. Most people have a high handle. Brandon Roy kept his very low and was, as you can see, got to the rack at will, essentially. So ball handling, there goes Roy. Playmaking, I still got Roy, though he was a predominant scorer. Both of these players are scorers. They don't look to make plays first for others. They look to get theirs. But when you can go to the rack that easy, it makes it way easier to dish it off if somebody like that. Dish it off if somebody comes and get them an open look. So Brandon Roy, the better playmaker as well. Intangibles, such as, let's say, willpower. You see somebody who don't want to lose. Brandon Roy, ultimate competitor. Devin Booker, kind of got the laissez-faire, chill mentality. So as far as intangibles, what you can't see with the stats, and you see somebody's will to win or see somebody's heart or see them diving on the floor making the extra plays, Brandon Roy come from the old school, man. Old school players got the intangibles. New school players, they pretty much, you can see what they present on a stat sheet pretty much. About 7 threes, 20 points, give up 25. The intangibles ain't so much there today unless you're talking about a Patrick Beverly or a, grimy, get it in type player like that. So intangibles, I got Brandon Roy. Then for missing any categories, rebounding, I just say Brandon Roy just because he's more the athlete, but I wasn't too honed in on either's career as far as rebounding and what they did. But overall, I thought it was a landslide. I did this one because one of my subscribers requested I do Brandon Roy versus D-Books, which I think is cool. You got a new generation and an old generation. One fill it up now, one filled it up then, so I understand it. But I clearly had Brandon Roy, which turned this into a video paying homage, paying my respect. No disrespect to D-Books. He's still a young bull, maybe 22, 23, 24 at the most. So he still has a high ceiling, could potentially be better. But Brandon Roy at his apex, it's one of the best two guards I've seen in my life. You got Kobe, you got Wade, you got T-Mac, you got Iverson if you count it, then you got Brandon Roy to me. Excluding Jordan, I'm talking about 2000s, baby, before y'all get on my ass. But yeah, this is your boy Dame. What's your thoughts on Brandon Roy? Was he a potential Hall of Famer? Did you fuck with him while he played? And who do you got, D-Books or B. Roy? Offensively, it's a lovely comparison. But holla at your boy, Dame.